Alright, I'm going to be sharing 3 builds with you today. Each one's designed to take out Grausam, Grausam Alpha, and Grausam Beta. Now these builds are based around game progression as well, so the Grausam early build will be featuring early game gear that you can get in the mountains. The Grausam mid gear will be featuring mid game gear that you can get middle of the forest to end of the forest, and the Grausam in-game gear will be end of story and post-story gear. Now, one rule that I have for all the builds that I'm going to be sharing is that they're going to be set builds only. There's not going to be any mixing and matching the parts of these builds. You are welcome to mix and match the parts if you like. That's totally fine. But I want to keep these as simple as possible. Now, for the first set, it's going to be the Glaive Arsenal set, which you can get in the mountains from strays very easily. It's probably going to be one of the first sets that you get. You can also buy this set from the shop as soon as you upgrade the shop upgrade equipment 1. The first upgrade you get, you'll be able to just buy this entire set. And that also goes for the weapons that are used as well. The weapon of choice for this build is going to be the Hell Banshees. Hell Banshees, just like the Glaive armor set, can be found in the shop after you upgrade it once. You can also find them on strays around the world. Hell Banshees are unique among assault rifles in that they have both high crit and weak point exploit, and they also have a generous crit zone, making them very, very powerful for enemies that have persistent weak points that you can target throughout the entire fight. And this is true of Grausam and all of Grausam's iterations, in that they have multiple weak points that persist throughout the entire battle. I also added a Yatagarasu to the build list. It's not necessary, and you likely won't use it, but it is there as an option. It's a good all-rounder Tachi with great reach, probably one of the best reaches in the game as far as melee weapons go, and excellent crit if you get good at landing your crit shots. It also bumps this build up from specialized boss killer to generalist build because it makes it much more ammo efficient when you have a melee weapon to use alongside it. But it is not necessary as part of the build. The second addition is the Revolution. Revolution is just okay. There's nothing particularly special about this, but it does have great flinch value for the memory capacity that it has. I can't fit anything else on this build, and there's not really much else in the early game that you have access to that's going to hit as hard as Revolution, as far as something to stagger Grausam and keep it stationary so you can maximize your damage and keep yourself safe. So now on to the fight itself. The main purpose of the build is to focus on the back leg weak points of Grausam. Now, Grausam has weak points on the head and a huge weak point in the chest that baits you into wanting to go for those points, but they're completely unnecessary on all of the Grausam fights. All you have to do is attack either one of the back legs until the weak point is exposed, and then focus your damage on that point until he's dead. This is true. This is going to be the strategy for every single build, and every iteration of Grausam is essentially going to be this.
Nice! I knew I could count on you!
Alright, now that we have tackled the early game build, let's look at the mid-game upgrade for the Grausam Alpha fight. For this fight, what we're going to use instead is the Auxo set. Now, Auxo is an incredibly good set that you can use in any stage of the game. It's got the highest femto capacity of any set. It's got fantastic overall performance. And as far as lightweights go, its defenses are good too, having full positives and everything. It does not excel in stun resistance and a few other things, so it's not like a perfect all rounder, but its general performance is very, very good, and it's a great set to run through. You get this as soon as you get into the forest, you'll start getting Alxo parts. Now, I know legendaries for a mid game gear set seems a little odd, but silver ravens are actually obtainable very early on in the game. As soon as you get dungeons unlocked, you can start searching for dungeon keys, and you'll get gargoyles in the dungeons occasionally. Gargoyle rooms are repeatable. Every time you run a dungeon, you'll get a gargoyle room, and when you break gargoyles, they have a high chance of rolling silver raven twos. You can also find them in chests in legendary dungeons, and you can also find them in gargoyles in the overworld and natural tunnels. Wild Impact is just an upgrade over the Revolution. It's the same goal as just to have a little extra punch and get a little extra stagger. Reserved Magazine is there to make sure you don't run out of ammo on your machine guns. The goal for this iteration of Grausam is exactly the same as the last one. Focus on the back leg and stay within the crit zone of the machine guns to maximize their DPS. You'll know you're in their crit zone when you see the red sort of lasers popping out from your shots. That's how you know you're doing the maximum possible damage that you can. So stay within that zone, which is very easy to do with these particular machine guns, or any machine gun for that matter, and you'll do just fine. You don't need to use Silver Ravens to do this. There are other machine guns that you can use, and there may even be a machine gun that's specifically for weak points that does more damage, but this setup took it out in a minute and a half flat, so I kept it as is. It's a very simple setup, very easy to do. No fluff, no fancy tricks. Just keep shooting that back leg until he drops.
Someone's cruising for a cruise. Superb! You fought well.
Alright, now that we have established the mid-game build and see how it works, let's look at the end-game build. Now, I used Demeter for this build because it seemed like a pretty appropriate in-game set, since you get it towards the end of the story. But you can actually use Alxo for this. You can just keep Alxo and swap the weapons, and you'll have the in-game set. Um, this is a massive damage boost over the Silver Raven setup, but it does require good positioning. You don't have to be great with it, but it does require good positioning. The Demeter set is a really good set for laser defense, so it's great if you find yourself getting hit by the laser shots from Grausam. But if you're not having issues with that and you're just trying to farm and you don't want to worry about the Demeter set, you don't actually need it. The reason I chose Demeter mostly was for style and the arms having incredibly high shooting performance, which with the pistols being as close range as they are, isn't really a huge help for them anyways. The main trick to this build is the triple stars. Now, triple stars are handguns, but handguns have massive weak point and critical exploit at the cost of a small window. But triple stars in particular have such high weak point exploit that even if you can't reliably crit with them, their damage output is top fucking tier. These things are incredibly powerful, incredibly good for enemies that have persistent weak points, especially if you can knock them over and keep them down for like 5 to 10 seconds at a time. If you can manage to do that, these things are going to do like 1,500 to 2,000 damage per second. Crazy damage output. Beast Surge is just the next level up from Wild Impact. It's the same purpose as the other one. It's just to smack them real hard with a high flinch value and knock them over. If you don't have Beast Surge, you can use Ogre Break 2 to do the same thing. It's not going to hit quite as hard, but it's got more ammo. They're both going to perform pretty much the same function. Now, the only real difference between this build and the other builds, as far as strategy goes, you're still going to target that back leg, either one of the back legs, but once it does break, you're going to want to try to weave in and out and get within the crit zone for this weapon. If you stay outside of the crit zone, but you still hit a weak point, you'll do a couple hundred damage, but as you can see here, if you're in its crit zone, you're going to do 1,500 plus damage per second easily. No problem. Absolutely melt this fucking guy. He's supposed to be the hardest Grausam in the game right now, at least until Omega comes out. But he melts faster than the Alpha does. Alright, that's going to do it for the Grausam build guide. Next up is going to be Gunfort, which is going to be quite a bit different. I do hope this was helpful, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.